Beta to Boss with Chase Harmer. Growth, scale, success.
Beta to Boss. I'm here with my man Van Oaks. He's from the DieselSellerz. They actually also have a TV show on Discovery. They're kicking ass. They've been on there for a long time, doing big things in the side of the Snapchat world, as well as those other all those other marketing techniques that he's been talking about on stage across the country, across the world. So super excited to have my boy on here today. Last time we kicked it was a great time. Definitely have some memories that I'll keep for a long time. So Van, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be on the show. So,
absolutely, man. Well, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I want to ask you. I mean, first of all, you've been with the company since inception, the DieselSellerz, or?
No. So the company was formed in 2013. I wasn't brought on until 2015.
Okay, when they needed a real, like.
Well, when they needed paid media, right? They had launched the company. They had social media, but they weren't doing any sort of paid acquisition at all. And they had brought me on at that moment, and then from then on out, it's just all been downhill.
Well, uphill, right? So let me ask you this. It's totally downhill once I started over there. Let me ask you this, man. So they came in and you started working for the team. So how did you get to, having such a great opportunity to work with these guys? Like, what were you doing before that? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so a little bit about my background. Like me personally, I did door-to-door sales for 12 years.
Oh yeah, dude.
I used to sell, I used to sell alarm systems door to door, and I the honest truth is that I loved it. I had multiple teams, I had a bunch of people working for me, and I loved selling. Like the fact of showing up at somebody's door who doesn't want you to be there, and then leaving with like a $1,500 signed contract over 3 years. Like it was like the biggest rush, and I loved it.
Yeah, seriously. What were you selling?
Skills that you learn doing like I was selling alarms.
Yeah.
But the people skills that you learn doing that are invaluable, right?
Yeah.
So I probably would have never stopped if it weren't for I had some kids, and it was just I was traveling so much that I wasn't being a good father. I wasn't seeing my kids grow up, so I didn't want to do that. So I said, the money's not worth, because I was making good money. So the money's not really worth the quality of life. I'd rather be at home with my kids. So I just learned how to start selling stuff online. Started with affiliate marketing, and then I only did that for a short period of time, and then I became an advertiser. I owned my own muscle, skin, diet pills, whatever. I did that for a couple of years, and actually got really good at running traffic for those things. And then that's when I had known these guys before, and when it came up that they needed to do some paid media, they reached out to me directly and said, "Hey, I know you do this already. I know you're good at this already. Do you want to come do it for us?" And that was the starting of the end of the start.
That's badass, dude. It gives me a little bit of hope that maybe one day I'll understand how to do online marketing, because like I'm just a fucking true blood sales guy. That's what I do.
Yeah. Dude, that's all I knew, right? And it's no different. Like instead of actually using your people skills to sell in person, you're just using different hooks and whatnot to sell online.
Sure.
There's still a little bit of the rush as you see your Shopify sales going up and down, and what your campaigns that you're running are actually working.
Yeah.
So there's still a little bit of that, but I really do. I miss the day-to-day like interaction with people and actually selling somebody like in person.
Sure. No, I mean, that's great. I mean, and now like, I did door-to-door sales too when I was younger. I
didn't know that.
I sold two things. I did Craftmatic beds, which that's a fucking hard sell, dude. But I crushed it. Like the first month I made $15,000, because mattresses are expensive. But then also I did Kirby vacuums, dude.
Oh yeah, Kirby. Yeah, I had a bunch of guys on my team that were Kirby reps, man.
Yeah, that was hardcore, dude. Selling vacuums is tough, but
not cheap vacuums. Those are very, very pricey vacuums,
dude. Telling you, you have to have payment plans for those things. They're supposed to be more expensive than people want to spend, for sure. So yeah, but we don't do that anymore. But definitely utilize firms like yourself. But all the language and everything to me, it seems like so kind of, it's like so off the I just don't even want to take the time to learn it. I should know it, but you know,
Right.
you guys. So you guys
Well,
are.
it's a lot to learn. Like I have buddies reach out to me that are still doing sales, and they're like, "Hey, I want to learn what you do." And it's like, okay, but dude, I took 2 years of basically a loss. Like I had saved up a lot of money, and I took 2 years of basically teaching myself and not really making the money that I was making before, and grinded for a solid 2 years before I got good at it.
Yeah.
And that was just before I even got good at it. So like, people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna learn what you do," and it's like, dude, it's an actual skill. Like, people pay a lot of money for marketers for CMOs and so forth.
Oh, for sure. For sure. No,
So
I mean, we have them too. So totally get it, man. I mean, it's definitely an acquired skill. You can't just go out there and like make a home run. It definitely takes time. So when you go on stage, you know, you're talking about all these really cool techniques and all the stuff that you're doing with like Snapchat and some of these other areas that you guys are utilizing the marketing. Do you also get clients off of that too, or do you just work only for DieselSellerz?
The honest truth is that I don't. Like a normal speaker would have a way to monetize what they do. A normal speaker would have an agency to where when they're done pitching what they're doing, they say, "Yeah, we can bring you on as a client." But the honest truth is that I don't. I spend 95% of my time working with the diesel guys. I'm invested in a lot of their companies, and it takes up all my time. So I don't really have an agency. I don't really have anything other than pitch. When I was approached about coming to San Diego, I really did it as a favor to Eric. It's not like I really monetize that. In fact, I probably lose money by not working and going out and actually teaching people what I'm doing. But I believe, I don't know. I'm a firm believer in, like, if you know how to do something, the more people that you can teach how to do that, the further your name gets out there, you know, the better that will end in the long term. Like, big believer in karma.
Right. Well, the other point is you're also personally branding yourself, right? So
yeah,
I mean, you know,
that is big too. That is very big. Like, I'm not trying to take away from that whatsoever. But yeah, as far as like having an agency to sign people up there, no way. But building my personal brand for sure.
Yeah, because that's super important, right? And I didn't actually realize that. We started building personal brands, basically my personal brand, maybe 3 years ago. But up until that point, I didn't even see, honestly, the value in it. But like the amount of business that you're able to drive just based upon that personal branding is pretty good long term.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, for sure. We're heavy into the personal branding spot with our influencers that own the company and so forth. It's very, very important.
So do you invest as well are you invested into those companies too, or are you investing in other opportunities too? How does that work? Tell me about
it's mainly just with the diesel. So DieselSellerz itself was kind of like the mother company.
Yeah.
And that's where the whole business started. And then the TV show came, Diesel Brothers came later. But the main businesses is really just like Diesel Power Gear, which is like an apparel store where every $5 you spend on any of our businesses, really anything you buy from every $5 you spend gets you entered to win one of our diesel trucks. So we have Diesel Power Gear, and then we have 4x4 anything, which is actually like a part. So if you need truck parts, you can buy them from us. We have a tire company called Legion Tires, which is direct to consumer specific truck tire that's built for heavy diesel trucks. So it has a better rubber compound. It lasts a little bit longer. So we have that, and then we have now Heavy Academy, where we basically train people on, you know, how to become social media influencers, how to use that, how to run giveaways legally and so forth. So it spanned into a bunch of different companies, right? We've monetized it in a bunch of different ways. And all those new ones, I have equity stake in those.
Let me ask you this. You know, we're doing, so we actually deal with a lot of companies that do giveaway type stuff. And then we have companies that also run like a sweepstakes offer. Sweepstakes office, like, there's a lot of more legal shit that's involved in that. And like, so basically the underwriting process for us is like, there's a lot more due diligence required because there's like, every state's different, you know? So you usually have to work through a third party administrator. By just simply changing the language, like giveaway as opposed to sweepstakes, like you're able to really avoid that whole entire the sweepstakes stuff. So tell me about like that, because essentially you guys are kind of running like a sweepstakes, but not really. Like, tell me about like how you guys do it.
So the giveaway model and sweepstakes, obviously sweepstakes is different just for the fact they're just putting their name down and hoping they get entered to win. The giveaway model, what we actually established, and we went through a lot of legalities with this, right? Obviously, in Florida and New York, it's very hard to get to run any of these things, especially with paid media through Facebook and so forth. So it took years to kind of perfect. The first time we did it, we were just going to get names and run a sweepstakes and give away a truck. And then they came to us and said, hey, you can't legally do that. You got to give them something physical or else it's a lottery, right? It can't be a lottery. So you got to give them something physical. So we sold wristbands the first time, $5 diesel power wristbands. And that was super profitable. And it was after that we said, okay, let's make t-shirts, let's make hats. And now it's spanned into over 1,500 SKUs of things that they can buy from us, so that as long as they're buying something, and there's legalities behind it with all the states, but we actually use a third-party law firm to legally bond them in all the states and everything.
Yeah.
The first times we didn't, we just kind of tried to figure it out on our own. After that, I think we've given away over 50 trucks now, to where now we're under a pretty big microscope. And you want to make sure that people know that you're giving away the truck and that you're doing it legally, and that you're not picking and choosing winners and so forth. So we let the third-party law firm handle it now so that we don't have any legal issues. And they take all liability off our shoulders too.
No, totally.
But the first couple times it was like, yeah, we need to have them buy something physically from us, so that it's not a lottery. And with Facebook regulations too tightening up, it's hard to run that type of stuff.
Well, I was looking at your guys' stuff, and actually it's pretty smart, because if you have a sweepstakes too, you should technically have to give everybody an opportunity to win, even the people that don't actually pay. And that's where it gets complicated, because they have to have the same amount of entries that the guys that pay do. So like, when you're running a sweepstakes, I mean, that's what really makes it hard for guys like yourself, right? That are running this pretty legit, offer. Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, they have to have the same exact probability of winning as somebody who bought something. And there's ways that you can do that through email, through whatever. We accept postcards. So people can enter without spending money. And that's kind of the way you get around that whole legality part of it.
So tell me this. What is a typical day for Van Oaks?
I
know it changes all the time, right? But what's a typical day for you?
So much going on, right? When you factor in, I'm diehard about the gym. I'm diehard about physical exercise, and not for the looks, not for that part of it, which is great, but more mentally.
For the brain.
So I wake up at 5 a.m. I go to the gym for 2 hours, every day, no matter what. That's
7 days a week. 7 days a week?
Well, no, not Saturday, not Saturday. I go to the gym on Saturday, but I go during the middle of the day. I don't wake up at 5, and then I don't go on Sunday.
Yeah. No.
But every day I'm pretty diehard about that. And then I'll come home, get my kids off to school, cook them breakfast, do all that stuff, get them off, and then I'll come into work. And I actually do. So I run all the product development as well.
Do you physically go into an office, or you work from your home?
Yeah, I can work from home, but what I've found, I don't know, maybe you've got kids. What I found with kids is that it's very hard to actually get in the flow state, or whatever you want to call it, in the zone. It's really hard. I can produce more in an office by myself in 1 hour than I could in 3 hours at home, right?
Yeah.
So I actually I go in most every day to the office. There are times that things come up and I work from home, but I do go into the office. I'll usually start the day either be a marketing meeting with the marketing team, head that up, and then on other days we do product development meetings. I usually have meetings until about noon. And then after noon is the time that I get to myself at 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock to work on my own, whatever, my campaign structures, everything that way. And then I'll close out the day finishing up old emails and stuff and doing everything.
What do you
that
think?
way.
I mean, there's a lot of meetings that happen during the day, right? And as a guy that's a part of a bigger company, like we are, I mean, we have meetings and team meetings and things like that. What's the most important meeting for you that, after that meeting, you guys are going to get shit done, whatever?
So I have to do, I like morning meetings. A lot of people say, get your shit done.
Your mic went out. think your mic went out, man. Oh, there it goes.
Oh,
Yeah,
can you hear me now?
I can. Yeah.
Okay. But a lot of people say that like do more afternoon meetings and then because your mind's going in the morning and so forth.
Yeah.
I'm different in the fact that I like to have my important meetings in the morning so that I know where I'm at with everybody.
Sure.
With my team, I can set apart the team on what they're doing for the day, and then I can find out big news, that anything big that happened or so forth. I'll figure all that stuff out first thing, and then by noon I'll have all that stuff done, and I can just focus on like that 1 to 3 spot for me is super important, that I can work on my own stuff. But I don't really do later on in the afternoon meetings like a lot of people will do.
Yeah, that's where I'm dying. I don't have the mental capacity for it, honestly. I like towards the end of the day, like I just want to finish up stuff, and I don't want to have a meeting to interrupt that stuff.
I'm not a big meeting guy either.
I hate meetings.
I love having meetings. Actually, oh my God, I just changed back to my AirPods.
No, it came back. It came back.
Yeah, my bad. So I actually absolutely hate meetings. Like if I can avoid meetings in any way, shape, or form, I will. But there are times that you need to have that, right?
For sure. So, for the people that don't know who Van Oaks is and like what you do, I mean, just kind of give us some of the highlights about like what your organization, what you do, because you basically direct a team now, right? I mean, are you physically doing the buying, or do you basically direct the team to do all that stuff?
All of the above, actually. So for example, when I was brought on, it was really just to kind of run the new tire company and run paid acquisition through Facebook. And that's all I did.
Yeah.
All day, every day in the ad account, running Facebook ads, Instagram, so forth. And then I was able to hire people underneath me and train them personally the way that I like to media buy. So now the majority of the time they can handle all of it, even though I'm still in the ad account on a daily basis, kind of checking things out. Sometimes I'll launch my own campaigns. We have a good program worked out there. But then, for example, I've got that team worked out to where the Facebook and Instagram stuff runs really well. I've got a good content team to where I used to have to like edit and direct all the content because we produce a shitload of content. Like
so just to keep people engaged, I just want to touch on that for 1 second, because on our side too, you have to like post like a bunch of stuff every day. Like how much stuff are you posting every day to stay engaged with your people?
So you gotta understand, we have probably between the companies and the influencers that are part of the company and whatnot, we probably have 7 to 10 different accounts. And I'm a big fan of the like jab, 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 right hook type stuff, to where you need 3 types of content before you throw out an ask. So on all of our accounts.
What is that though? Let's slow down.
So jab, 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 right hook comes from Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. I'm sure you've heard of him. But his whole thing in his book that he wrote was like jab, 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 and then right hook. As far as like if you're an influencer, if you're providing content, give 3 times before you ask, right? So on our pages, we run a lot of trucks. So we'll post truck pictures. We'll post like information about trucks, stuff that truck people really want to see before you ask, right? Because what happens is it gets very hard as a business, especially like Diesel Power Gear, where all of our money just comes from apparel that we sell, to not just post constant promos and constant pictures of shirts and stuff. At the end of the day, they follow you. They do want to buy that stuff, but they also want to be entertained.
Yeah.
So
they want real value too.
Yeah. They want to follow you for a lot of different reasons other than you asking them for your money, right? Nobody wants to follow somebody just constantly asking for their money. So we do a lot of content. I have a full content team. I have photographers, videographers, all in-house. I do that all in-house, just so that we can do that part of it. But then now I've kind of freed myself up to where the Facebook's covered, the content's covered. I kind of deal directly with the influencers and work on these other businesses. But now I was able to, as of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, hop into Snapchat and actually kind of perfect the skill, at least for me. Like, because I had ran it for over a year and I had just lost a shitload of money. And finally, when I had people set aside to run the Facebook and stuff, I said, I'm going to dive into this and actually figure this out. and it's been really profitable for us since. So now I can take a step back and I can bring somebody on and actually train them on how to do the Snapchat stuff and then run that separately.
Gotcha. So if you were an entrepreneur and you were starting out, because our audience is going to various range from different entrepreneurs and like how successful they are or starting out, whatever. Right. So if you're an entrepreneur and you had to focus on one particular like social media platform, or if you had to focus on, let's say that you're like, well, all of them matter, right? But like, where would you spend your money if you had $5,000 a month to spend, right? Let's just hypothetically say that's the number. How would you divvy up that $5,000 in your social media?
It would, a lot of it, and I know you said there's a bunch of different platforms that you can run, but to me, that would depend on my demographic. Okay. Like if you're selling something that like a B2C type of product. Yeah, B2C type of product. B2C type of product, but I'm talking age in particular. Like if you're selling a product for somebody 18 to 30 years old, I would learn Snapchat and I would learn it fast. But if you're selling product to people that are like, 25 to 35 years old, you're going to want to be on Instagram, and then a little bit older that on Facebook. I would start with age range. Like if I had $5,000 and, my product were like a phone charging case, I don't know. If it's a phone charging case, 18-year-olds are buying that, right? Yeah. So, and that space right now is wide open. Like CPM, like your average CPM on, which is a cost per impression, which is 1,000 people that click on your ad. CPMs are like $250 on Snapchat right now, to where comparable on Facebook, you're paying, $7 to $10. Right?
Even when you build a user base of subscribers, like we have over 60,000 subscribers on Facebook.
Right.
And but to actually reach them costs money too. So like
a lot of money. That was the biggest hiccup for us, right? Because we built this business on YouTube and we had all the reach we wanted. And then we saw it moving over to Facebook. So we migrated them over to Facebook. And then Zuck started to take away that organic reach. So then we migrated them to Instagram. And now that's been taken away. So a lot of them are migrated to Snapchat. It's just going to go like that. You got to pay to play. I understand that. But you got to understand that's difficult as an influencer that owns this company. Like the main guy who owns the company, Heavy D Sparks. He has millions of followers, like 2.5 million followers. Right? Yeah. That sucks to not be able to reach all those people unless you want to pay.
I mean, we're on a much lower scale than that. But we have a decent amount of subscribers where it costs a lot of money to actually reach them. And I'm like, fuck, we spent out all this cash to build this fucking funnel. And here we are, like, I have to pay more money to fucking reach the people I already paid to acquire.
It sucks, but it is. But the honest truth is, it's that way for everybody, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
There's nothing good about that's not cool to build this and build a brand and build a name for yourself and then all of a sudden have to pay to access them. But I mean, give it to Zuck. It's what's working, so you got to do it.
I mean, he's crushing. I mean, because all those people have the exact problem. And when you build out an audience that big, you have to keep engagement. So you still have to pay for it. I mean,
yeah. So I see a lot of people in the space moving back to YouTube. I would tell young guys definitely get on YouTube because you get a lot bigger reach out there. And I see as Facebook's advertising policy and TOS, their terms of service and stuff, as it gets a little bit tighter, I see a lot of people migrating back over that way, back to the YouTube and doing short clips, still not really long content, but here or there, and monetizing that a little bit more. So we're currently trying to get back into that space. Instead of posting 5-minute or hour-long episodes of the TV show on YouTube, we're just going to start posting content 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there of the best parts, because a lot of people now are consuming all their content on YouTube, right? Especially at home, Netflix, YouTube. I even see Netflix. I see YouTube getting bigger than Netflix in the future because they just launched YouTube Red, and a lot of people don't want to pay. So I see a lot of influencers going back over there. I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
What do you think what is the strategy for you guys to go to YouTube? Because I know it's all these different platforms have different strategies, right? Yeah. So when you're moving stuff over to YouTube or Facebook, I mean, what are are there some similar characteristics between moving between these platforms that stay consistent?
Yeah.
Or is it all different?
Yeah, they're a little bit different. Like we were on YouTube. I think we have like 250,000 followers on YouTube. It's not like a joke. We actually still post on there and whatnot. But the amount of money that we were getting paid from YouTube to actually like let people run ads on our stuff isn't important to us, because our whole business model is like every $5 you spend on our stuff, you could win one of these trucks, and we plug these trucks all the time. We plug these giveaways constantly, right? And not everybody's seeing those on social media unless you're paying for it. And if we can get our content back over to YouTube, like I say, and we can build that subscriber list back up, we get a lot more people that'll see that. So that's more of our play, is mainly just organic reach when we go back over there.
So being an entrepreneur, being a guy that's been on 100% sales and knocking on doors and all that, now you're, this marketing guru. What's the best piece of advice that you would give an entrepreneur that's looking to grow a brand or grow himself and make more money?
Yeah. So I've grown the brand too. Like I have brands on the side that I've grown. And that's great too. I'm not saying you got to do what happened to me is probably not going to happen to everybody. If you hone your skill in great enough, you're going to have the right people that find you, that will find you, if you become great at what you do. But like my biggest advice, and I tell my closest friends this, and that are trying to get into the space, is to hire a fucking mentor. Like for real, like hire somebody that's actually done what you want to do. Don't, like, everybody comes in and says like, hey, I want to get into online marketing. I was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Well, I just want to sell stuff online. What do you want to sell? Do you want, like, be specific?
I just want to make money.
Yeah, like everybody wants to make money, but before you decide to do all this stuff, figure out exactly what you want to do. I want to become a great lead marketer on Facebook. I do lead gen on Facebook, whatever it is. And then from that point, you can go out and you can find somebody who's actually good at that, who's actually put in years and years of work in doing what you want to learn. And you would be surprised, you would be blown away at how nice people are, like people who have actually done what you're trying to do, how nice they are at sharing their information. And if you do have to pay for it, then fuck it, pay for it.
Yeah.
Like I can't tell you how many courses I bought just to try to learn to run Facebook ads and so forth when I was selling trial fields and all this stuff. And bought all these courses that at the end of the day weren't that great of courses. And if I'd have just paid somebody that amount of money to just teach me, I'd have learned it in a day, right?
Right.
So like my biggest advice to anybody like getting into the space, I can't afford a mentor. Well, at least reach out, because I can't tell you how many emails I answer a day for people who aren't paying me a dime.
Right.
Who are just asking, right? And I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to be known as a dick. So I'm like, I sit there and I respond to like tons of messages a day on stuff that normally I would charge people for. But at the end of the day, you can get that information for free if you find the right person.
Right. Now, you did say that you read some sort of books. Is there any book or material in particular that helped you more than others?
Man, I'm a big book reader though. So like I think last year I read like 32 books or whatever.
What's the secret to that? Let me stop you right there. You read that many books. Yeah.
I'll tell you the secret. Here's the secret. The secret to that is that I actually don't read like I'm not a great reader. My mind is all over the place and I can't sit down and look at a book and read. But turns out when these guys brought me on, they're about an hour away from my home. So when I drive into work, it's about an hour drive. So I audiobook at 2 times the speed.
There you go.
And I'll just plow through it on the way in. Usually on the way home, I won't listen to the audiobook. I'll listen to personal stuff, whatever, music, whatever. But on the way into work is always audiobook. And it's depending on the author, it's like 1.5 to 2 times the speed. So you can bust it out pretty quick, right?
I tell you, like, I personally hate reading, but I like the audio. Like I can't sit still for that long. But like when we do these, when you do the audio things, it gets your mind moving. So even if it's not like totally applicable, like it gets your mind thinking about the business and how you can apply it in different ways. So, I think
I love it. I love personal development ones. I mean, How to Win Friends and Influence People is by far my favorite book of all time. I think it's like a mandatory. Everybody should read that book.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of them. something fire, whatever something fire was. Stealing Fire. Loved Stealing Fire. It's about how people get into the flow zone. Like,
who wrote it?
It was written by Jamie Will. It's basically about how Marines get into the flow state, or how athletes at peak performance get into this just dominating state, right? So that one was cool. That was a popular read of mine last year. Obstacle is the Way. Like, there were so many that I read last year. This year I've kind of done a little bit more podcasting, a lot more marketing based, digital marketers, so forth, their podcast. But
well, dude, so, you know, it's been real, man. Like, you dropped a lot of knowledge bombs. I know a lot of people are going to get a lot of information on there. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Shit happens sometimes, but we got it all done. Hey, man, so if people that hear this podcast and they're like, you know what, I'd really love to reach out to Van, is there a good way for them to contact you or reach out to you about questions or something?
For sure. It's just Van Oakes on Facebook, VANOAKES. But I'm probably most active on Instagram. That's where most of my followers are. That's where I spend most of my time with my business too.
Sure.
So Instagram is It's Your Boy Van on Instagram. Long story behind that, but that's what it'll be, and that's where it'll stay.
Bro, just to end this, dude, I didn't notice until midway through our conversation you shaved the fucking stash, bro. What's up?
Bro, it's an embarrassing thing for me, right? I had that for 3 years. So 3 years straight, I had this big curly mustache.
I know. Yeah.
Massive. Loved it. You saw me like mid-face. So in Vegas, when we were in Vegas, I twisted it off. Like, no shit, on the left side, because the anxiety, like I just twist naturally. I have a mustache, so I twisted it off. So I tried to grow it back. You saw me in San Diego, and one side started to curl and the other side didn't. So I was like, shit. So now I gotta start from scratch. It's hard for me to look at myself, man. It's been 3 years without the mustache, and now I gotta look at myself.
When you first came on the video, I was like, something looks different about it. I got
a haircut. Man.
I was like, you look good, boy. But I was like, man, like, what happened to the stash? I was like, that's the stash.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. I look probably 10 years younger, and I don't look like a pedophile anymore. But I want it all back. I'm going to run it all back.
You are the creeper, bro. I love you, man. Dude, Van, you're the best, bro. I love you. I'm going to see you again soon. Are you going to Barcelona?
Yeah, I'll be there, man.
I'll see you there. And, man, it's been awesome hanging with you, and I look forward to working with you in the future, too.
Thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate it.
Beta to Boss with Chase Harmer. Growth, scale, success.